Wait for the red smoke. Wait for the signal. Crouch in the trenches! Come on, come on! Where's that 30 cal? Coming to push that hill! Look for silhouettes on the horizon! Stay low, stay low! I want fire superiority! For contact, lay it on them! We got about 40 crowds that way. Here they come! Jesus, Captain, they're SS.
Gentlemen, welcome back to the agency. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to assault the guns firing on Utah Beach at Brecourt Manor. Guys, today I'm talking about the M1 Garand, and I wanted to do this video kind of to honor the veterans, right? We're coming up on the 80th anniversary of D-Day, and I wanted to have the M1 Garand on the channel for that 80th anniversary to kind of pay my respects to those individuals that gave their lives on, that day, or even throughout the whole war. World War II really is a fascinating subject to, even at an amateur level to study and whatnot. And I've always had a deep appreciation and whatnot for it because of games like some of the early Medal of Honor Frontline or some of the Call of Duty games and whatnot. When you're a child, you kind of get interested in that kind of stuff. That's how it lures you in, and then as you get older, you start to learn more about the history and some of the firearms and the people's stories. I think the most fascinating part to me is kind of like that human element of just that kind of mindset and the way that people were behaved back then and whatnot. It's all very fascinating to me, and the war is very interesting to me. So I wanted to pay my respects to those veterans and kind of say thank you and honor the history. I remember being in 7th grade when the last World War I veteran died, and someday that's approaching for those World War II veterans. So, and I've always wanted to collect, a rifle like this. It's kind of been my goal to get every single U.S. service rifle that is in existence. So I'll probably get, I want to get a Springfield at some point, M14. I already got the M16 in this. So, just kind of going through collecting stuff, and I thought, what better time to go over the iconic M1 Garand than the 80th anniversary of D-Day, so I thought I would do that. So if you're not familiar with this weapon, right, I will break it down for you. I don't know who you are if you don't know, if you've never played a video game or seen a World War II movie, what are you even doing watching this video, right, if you don't know what the Garand is. But if you clicked on this video accidentally and you want to know, what is the M1, I'm going to talk a little bit about it. Now, I'm not Forgotten Weapons, I'm not a historian, right, I'm not even a reenactor.
You bring in a 1911 and an M1 to the range? The Fudds are going to surround you.
We're reenactors, Lieutenant. We're supposed to be surrounded.
the history I'm about to give you, take it with a grain of salt is all I'm trying to say. So the M1 entered service in the late 30s at a time when most of the world still was using bolt-action rifles, including all of our enemies that we would fight in World War II, right? The Japanese had the Type 38 and the Type 99 in Osaka. Germany had the Kar 98K. And like Italians had like the Carcano rifle. And even some of our allies were still using bolt-action guns, such as the British with their Lee Enfield. Now, the Lee Enfield did have 10 rounds in it, as opposed to many of the other rifles that only had 5. And you could actually get pretty quick working that bolt, but I would still much rather have a semi-automatic, gas-operated rifle, such as the M1 Garand. World War II kicks off, and essentially you have the US who joins the war. I'm not talking to my Marines who were using the Springfield early on, but you know, you have the US that joins, and eventually they all get the M1 Garand, kind of a game changer just because of what it can do, right? 8 rounds of 30-06, semi-auto. It just gives that much more firepower to the individual soldier and to the squads. The German philosophy was kind of, we have these machine guns and everyone's gonna support the machine guns, right? So you guys all got bolt actions, but our meat and potatoes is gonna be that MG, right? MG34, MG42, et cetera, et cetera. The US had a little bit of a different philosophy, right? They were equipping each individual rifleman with a pretty powerful weapon, right? Something that was significantly better than what other countries had at the time. Now, the Germans did have the Gewehr 43 and, you know, FG 42 and stuff like the SGG 44, but some of those weapons weren't implemented in large quantities the way that the US was equipping their soldiers with the M1. If the war had gone on maybe for another year or so, we might have seen more STG 44 squads, and of course, this would have become obsolete pretty quickly if the Germans were actually able to equip their whole army with assault rifles, essentially, right? That's what the STG 44 is. By the way, PSA, we want that rifle.
Get up, Private Blythe! Come on, Private! Fire your weapon, Private Blythe! Shoot those Germans, Private Blythe! Let them have it, Blythe! Fire your weapon, Blythe!
So there are some common misconceptions about the M1 Garand that were kind of created during the early 2000s of video games. If you're not familiar, some of those games only had, like Medal of Honor Frontline, for example, only had one reload animation for every weapon. So, you know, if you reloaded a MP40 that still had ammunition in it, he would take the mag out, put it in, still charge the gun, even if there was a round in the chamber, right? I guess I'm not like totally familiar on the manual arms for the MP40, but I'm fairly certain you don't gotta do that. For the M1 Garand, there was only one reload animation, and that was on the last round, the end block clip flies out, and then you grab a fresh, you know, clip, put it in there, and you're good to go. Since they only animated one reload animation, that means that you couldn't reload it if it was a partially spent clip inside. Now, modern games have kind of corrected this where you can kind of, you know, push that clip latch down and pull the op rod back and the clip will go flying out and then you can load fresh ammunition in it. But some of those early games didn't have that. And I was a victim of this as well. And there's still many people that may be victims of this that were from my generation that played those games thinking like, oh, you can't load an M1 Garand that's partially spent. Of course you can. This is even evident in Band of Brothers. Joe, drop your ammo. I said drop your ammo. Let me see your weapon. You have 1 round. Johnny, how many prisoners do we have?
Got 11 right now, sir.
Okay. You drop a prisoner, the rest will jump you. I want all 11 prisoners back at Battalion CP alive. I have yet to give myself Garand in a serious way, right? When you pull that op rod back, when you're feeding it new ammunition, if you keep pressure down on that round, you can just take your hand out and it will take that round. You have plenty of time to get your thumb out of the way before it catches it. Sometimes when you press that thing down and you let it go, the bolt will just strip that first round and chamber it. And sometimes you will need to come over here and slap the op rod. It'll try to catch that first round, but it won't go all the way in. So you slap that op rod forward and then the round goes in. I'm not really sure why that happens. There's not really anybody who knows exactly why that happens. It seems kind of random. I don't know, that's just kind of how the M1 is. There's a lot of like weird lore about the rifle, it feels like. And some people are like, you know, it'll do this sometimes and sometimes it'll do that. So that's just kind of the nature of the beast when you're getting into this gun. What's the matter with you, Private?
I'm afraid of being banned on YouTube, sir.
We're all afraid. But the problem is that you still have hope. The sooner you accept that we've already been banned, the sooner you can behave the way a gun tuber's supposed to. Without remorse, without fear of cancellation, and then you can be a Leviathan shill. Talking about this specific rifle, I took a little trip to the CMP in Talladega, Alabama. I live within a reasonable driving distance. First off, I think if you're gonna buy a Garand, it needs to be through the CMP for the time being. I highly recommend actually driving it, even if you're within 8 hours of either the location in Ohio or in Alabama. There's 2 in Alabama. I highly recommend going there and picking one out. At the time, they just had rack and field grades, and they had a lot of expert grades as well. But I picked up this little field grade from them, and I'm pretty happy with it. I did see some that were kind of mismatched and that really weren't in great condition. They had a lot of pitting and whatnot. And if I had just gotten something through the mail, I kind of would have been, I think I would have been upset if I just went in and got like a mismatched Garand that needed a whole bunch of work. So going out and being able to pick this rifle, it was a really cool experience, and I highly recommend if you love World War II history or guns, going to the CMP and picking out one of these rifles. It was a lot of fun. So this is a Winchester. The serial number indicates that it was made somewhere in 1943 in either August or September. It's pretty cool to have a little piece of history, like this gun. We'll break down the rifle real quick from, I guess, tip to butt. Pretty much no flash hiding capabilities, right? It's just straight barrel, and then beneath that is the gas plug. You can actually buy adjustable gas plugs to fire some more modern ammunition. The CMP, if you go to the website, they don't recommend firing rounds. I think it's over 172 or 180 grain projectiles. They say that it will damage the op rod. If you can swing the M2 ball, shoot that. If you can't, they do have some commercial 150 grain rounds out there. From reading about a lot of guys online, they say that they don't really see that damage to the op rod as long as they're keeping it under that like 170 grain. It's kind of somewhere around there, 170, 180 grain. So I haven't experimented with that. This is just the gas plug that it came with. And moving down, I got a little bit of wobble in the handguard, but really not a lot. It's really good for a field grade. Right, so then you come down to the action. You got the bolt, right? It's a rotating bolt, and you got the op rod on the side that you just pull back. It will lock to the rear. A lot of people will lock it on the follower, and that's how the infamous Garand thumb, the infamous Mike Jones will occur if you do that, if you try to mess around with the gun. And then you've got a rear sight here just for windage and elevation. Got, your stock here. Safety's down beneath. I actually had some issues with this rifle, believe it or not. When I got the rifle, it was not, I'll throw some footage of this, it was not cycling. The bolt was not coming far back enough to pick up that next round. I suspected that it was the spring, so I called the CMP and I said, hey, this is what I got going on. What do you think the problem is? And they were like, well, it's not the spring. Are you using the right ammo? Did you clean it? Did you grease it? Yes, yes, yes. I cleaned it, greased it, lubricated it. I was using M2 ball the entire time, and it was just not cycling. The bolt wasn't coming far back enough, and it wouldn't even ping and send out the clip on the last round. So I was constantly fighting with it. It was a bolt action rifle, essentially. I ordered a new spring, threw that in here, and the gun's been cycling just fine. I will still have some issues with the clips. The CMP clip that they send you is really bad, and even when I got the gun up and running, I was using the CMP clips and it was still failing to feed. When I tried some other clips in it, it started to cycle. Of course, I will still have the occasional issue where that round, the bolt will move all the way back, but it gets stuck because a 30-06 cartridge is at an angle and doesn't feed into the chamber. I don't know exactly why that might be happening. I just suspect it might be the clips, but of course I'm not sure why it's doing that. So we'll talk about the kit real quick. Band of Brothers has kind of taken over my whole life over the last month as I was kind of preparing for this video.
Babe, how's your spaghetti?
Spaghetti? This ain't spaghetti. This is Ami noodles with ketchup.
Right, so I got a reproduction M1 helmet here. Nothing special. I got this off of Amazon. Like, this is the same helmet I've used for my Vietnam stuff. So like the strap here, it would be incorrect, but it came with the netting. I just took some burlap, weaved it through there, and my wife did the spade on the side of the helmet. She painted it. Came out really good, I think. It could probably use a little more wear if we're really gonna go accurate here. But I'm not a reenactor. We're reenactors, Lieutenant. We're supposed to be surrounded. Right, so moving on, we've got essentially this is gonna be a M1942 jump jacket and trousers. Now this is a pretty good repro as far as like looks go, but as far as usability, I've already had some ripping in the crotch area, and this is even a reinforced uniform. So for those that don't know, you had the M1942 unreinforced and the reinforced. The unreinforced would be like more accurate for Italy and whatnot. In Normandy though, a lot of guys were reinforcing critical areas on the uniform. So you see some of these dark patches around the pockets, and crotch area and down on the legs. That was just some critical spots that would rip, and they were just reinforcing with a little bit extra material. Now, I've also given this a kind of a basic CC2-esque treatment for the uniform, so it's a little bit, I try to make it a little bit darker in some areas. The CC2 treatment was something that they would put on the uniforms in the event of a gas attack. The Allies were worried that the Germans would be using gas during the invasion of Normandy, so they had covered their uniforms in this material, this waxy kind of like chemical stuff. It left a kind of a white residue, so I used beeswax to recreate it. I just took a bar of beeswax, rubbed it into the uniform, and then burned it with a heat gun. Right, we got some jump boots down here that are reproductions from Amazon. These are Rothkos, so nothing too crazy. Of course, I wasn't trying to spend a ton of money on this video, but you know, I had to get the look down at least a little bit. The belt kit, now I don't have the belt loaded out as much as it could be. This is a belt, this is an M1936 pistol belt, and that is an original. And then I got a rigger pouch here for a little bit of my ammunition. You can fit 3 end block clips in there, or I think it's like 6 M1 carbine magazines. And then on the side, I just have a my 45 here. This is a little TSAS reproduction that I'm gonna be talking about a little more. I'm gonna do a whole video on this gun, but I needed something to go with this video, and I thought that I always wanted one of these, and I picked one up for like 300 bucks off Palmetto State Army, so it's a pretty good deal. And the holster's just a reproduction. I know some of the guys in Band of Brothers don't have like the full loadout. They don't have like a full belt. I think Buck and Blythe, they don't even have a belt at all, like during episode 2 and 3. So I thought I could get away with kind of a more minimalistic loadout. And of course we got the patch over here that my wife sewed on once again. She is the heart of this operation after all. Zigaretten. Gentlemen, that's all I got for you today. Thank you for watching this video, and I will be visiting the M1 again. Of course, we have to visit the Pacific, and that will inevitably happen. So stay tuned for that, and we're gonna talk about the TSAS 1911 as well. So thank you for watching this video, and to all the veterans, if you're a veteran watching this video, I don't know if you would be, but if you know somebody who is, you know, thank you for your service, and thank you for what you did. So thank you for watching this video, guys, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.